Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode round number 7 today in Belgium. Nearing the halfway point of the season, our shortened calendar with just 16 races, so let's see what unfolds in the Belgian Grand Prix. We have upgrades heading into this one, but they came in mid-weekend, so I don't think they will actually apply until the next weekend. So we'll have to look forward to those at Monza to the engine and durability or power unit and durability departments. But we also purchased some upgrades as well to the durability because that is an area we need to work on after that failure that we had earlier in the season. So yeah, that is our main point of focus. We are currently still the 4th worst team on the grid, with only Alpha, Haas and Williams behind us, as it has been for virtually the whole season. We've seesawed a little bit. Sometimes we've been closer to the midfield, sometimes we've been closer to the back, but we should hopefully be able to gain some momentum soon. As we near the midway point of the season, it's usually in past games when we've been able to get that momentum on our side and start pushing for some more regular points finishes, but the car at the moment doesn't have the pace for that. But anyway, we're now heading through qualifying in Q1. We should have the pace to get out of Q1, but beyond that it will be a bit of a stretch. So we complete our lap and we do get through, actually with some decent pace, up in 10th position. So Q2, a Q3 rather, may be possible, but anyway, we do get through into Q2, so step 1 is complete. Unfortunately, Matsushita only able to beat the Hasses and Latifi, but anyway, he qualifies down in 18th position, sorry, 19th position rather, but anyway, that will not have any effect because he has some grid penalties heading into this race anyway. He'll be starting from the back. So, spoiler alert there.
Take it
now,
easy to start with. The track's wet.
Wet track heading into Q2, and we're going to start our lap as early as we can to try and get the best of the conditions before the track gets even wetter, and hopefully we can make the most of these conditions. We just about get out ahead of Max Verstappen there, so that was lucky that we didn't get stuck behind a car heading onto our flying lap. But you can see Eau Rouge a little bit sketchy there, but we managed to survive that, and now we can try and focus on the rest of the lap. We move on to the end of the lap, and we will safely complete our banker lap, and hopefully it'll be good enough to get us through. We do have a chance to go again, as we didn't really push too much on that lap. I just wanted to get a time on the board, and this lap, if the track conditions are still there for us, if they're still good enough, we can improve, and we've already improved through the first corner, so maybe the track will improve through the session, or maybe it'll go away from us. It's hard to tell, but we move on to the last few corners and come towards the finish line, and we will improve on our lap time, and that time puts us up into lap 3. It'll put us up into 7th position, looking in the wrong corner of the screen there for a moment. So yeah, that could get us through into the next session if the track conditions get worse. I heard a car coming. Turns out they're a little bit further back than I anticipated there. But anyway, that lap does just about get us through into Q3, down in 10th position, and there's no disadvantage, no strategical advantage to starting like 11th or 12th, just outside the top 10. I'm sorry about the audio issues here, by the way. It's just in the recording, not the game itself. I don't know how to fix it, but yeah, we do just about get into Q3, and Q3 is going to be an interesting session because it's starting off wet, but towards the end it will dry up. So the best of the track conditions will be right at the end of the session, so we're going to fast forward through.
In these unpredictable conditions.
And the intermediate tyres are the better tyre at the moment, but at the end of the session, if we risk it on a set of slick tyres, we could get a marginal advantage, or if the track really dries up, we could get a big advantage, or we could throw it away and qualify 10th. But realistically, 10th is probably the best we could wish for, all things being even, so we've got nothing to lose. So we do go out on slick tyres and look at the track. It was not like this when we left pit lane, but now as we head out onto the circuit. It is dry. It is dry enough for the slick tyres to work. Maybe not quite optimal, but we could still set a very, very decent lap time in these conditions compared to drivers who are still on intermediate tyres. And it looks like we're not the only one trying the softs, but we are trying it the latest of anyone. That car behind us, Carlos Sainz, he is on his in-lap. He has already completed his flying lap, so it's probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes later versus Sainz that we're setting our lap time. Depends how dry the track is as to what the lap time is, but yeah, it could give us a huge time advantage over Carlos Sainz. I'm talking seconds potentially, so we'll see how it goes and how clean our lap is. It's a bit of a guess of how much grip there is per corner. It's definitely not optimal grip at the moment, but it's a lot more than what anyone else would have had on their laps. So as we continue through ours, we're going to try and make the most of it. Meanwhile, just up the road from us, this is Max Verstappen, and he is catching up to Yuki Tsunoda, but they're both on in-laps, and they are both slowed down significantly there, and that is going to cause a problem for us as we have to take avoiding action and lift out of it a little bit and just about keep it on the road as we go around the outside of the two of them. But thankfully we managed to keep the momentum going as we head now towards the bus stop chicane, and we won't get held up by the car heading into pit lane there, as the yellow flags are still waving behind us, but we head towards the finish line now.
Fantastic. You've got pole.
Then we get pole position for the Belgian Grand Prix. I knew this lap was going to put us up the order.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top three today. The Scientist, Perez, and Lando Norris. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
So there we have it, pole position, and you can see Carlos Sainz, who I was comparing myself to, we were 2.5 seconds up the road from him, over just under a second ahead of Perez. So yeah, the track evolution at the end there was huge, and that definitely helped us score the pole position here today. We probably had about a 3-second advantage.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. Looks like you had a great qualifying session. It must be a relief being that far up the grid.
Yeah, it really is. We really maximised everything we could have maximised today, and we finally got the result, and hopefully we can hold on to some of it in the race, but I don't have high hopes.
How do you feel the competition is for you this season?
Oh, it's easy peasy. Pole by almost a second, you know.
Great. Well, that's everything.
We're in Belgium once again for today's round of the Formula One World Championship. It's a race the great Ayrton Senna won 6 times, and in 2019, Charles Leclerc became the first driver to take their maiden win here since Michael Schumacher in 1992. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track is a great one for fans of pure speed. The average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles an hour. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Why don't we start by talking about Valtteri Bottas? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. The Scientist lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Bottas, Max Verstappen and Norris. They've taken a grid penalty. Gasly, Leclerc, Tsunoda and Carlos Sainz. Vettel, Ricciardo, Antonio Giovinazzi and Russell. Fernando Alonso, Raikkonen, Esteban Ocon and Nicholas Latifi. Stroll, Mick Schumacher. Mazepin, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Nobuharu Matsushita. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright then, here we go. The Belgian Grand Prix from pole position. Not something I'm going to get used to too easily, because it was a very lucky qualifying session, getting some George Russell vibes, but this time the Belgian Grand Prix will go ahead and it won't be rained out. But nonetheless, we will take a look. Everyone else will be starting on the soft compound tyres just like us, so no real strategy to talk about at all in this race. So it will just be a flat-out race to the end, barring any safety car interruptions. So then here we go, or just heading to the formation lap now, and we'll be leading away a formation lap for the first time. And
Okay, our system checks are good. We need to stay in formation and start bringing the car up to temperature, please. Get some load into the tyres and work the brakes. We want them nice and warm by the end of the lap.
it is an unusual feeling to be leading away a formation lap, so much so that I almost missed the start lights because I'm always reacting to the cars in front rather than the lights going out. But nonetheless, we complete the formation lap, get everything heated up.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid has formed. Be ready with the clutch.
And now we're ready to go to the 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix. We get a good enough start to cover off Sergio Perez into the first corner. Hamilton and Bottas both got away badly. Verstappen from 5th is going to get up to 3rd here as he almost makes contact with his teammate as they now head side by side. We have a big advantage as we head towards Eau Rouge for the first time, but Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen side by side up towards through and around Radion, and they are going to continue this fight. Sergio Perez just losing out there to Verstappen. You can see us covering off the inside straight away, trying to break the slipstream, but Sergio Perez going to come back at Verstappen. Look at the 2 Mercedes in the slipstream, but they have nowhere to go as the Red Bulls run side by side, and Sergio Perez just pulling marginally ahead but backs out, and Verstappen retakes P2 for the moment. But it was a valiant effort by Sergio Perez trying to take 2nd in this race, but not going to happen this time around, and Verstappen holds P2 at the end of the first sector. But now, as we continue through, that is a virtual safety car route, and the reason for this lap 1 VSC is Lance Stroll plows into the back of the Alpine car there, and his front wing is now all over the track and not attached to the front of his car. Very unfortunate. Just misjudged the braking point as the field bunched up there into Ravage, and Lance Stroll has damaged that front wing. Meanwhile, we will have a quick look at the start from my teammate, and you can see decent start but not really anywhere to go for him, and in the end he ends up running side by side fighting with one of the Haasers, and loses out there on the inside line and slots in behind. I believe that at the moment is Mick Schumacher there.
VSC ending, we're going green. Maintain
But
positive
VSC now
delta
ending
until
as
green
we
flags.
get ready to go racing once again. Didn't time that very well though. I went red in the Delta at the wrong moment, and Verstappen's got a good run as we head now towards the bus stop, and he is going to try and make an overtake here. He's going to go to the outside. We'll cover off the inside. Verstappen though sends it at the last moment, releases the brake to try and get alongside, and it works for him as he now has the inside for the final corner. We're going to continue to run side by side though as we head down towards the turn 1, and we will just about keep the nose in on the inside. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to hold off Verstappen for too much longer in this race. We do hold him off for now though, but as we head along towards Eau Rouge Radion and then onto the Kemmel Straight, he's going to have another good run at us in the slipstream, so we will need to deploy the battery, but I don't think it's going to be enough. You can see Verstappen pulling alongside Sergio Perez in the slipstream. He goes to the middle. We're going to be 3 wide as we head towards Les Combes, and Perez in the middle is going to be the one to get through. We now have to defend from Valtteri Bottas, who's trying to make an opportunistic move there as we backed out of this fight between the Red Bulls. Here's the onboard with Valtteri Bottas, and you can see there we just backed out. Did not want to get pinched on the inside there with those two running side by side, and Bottas also discovering there was no space there on the inside of the second part of Les Combes. But you can see there visually properly now, Sergio Perez has taken the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix just in ahead of his teammate Max Verstappen, who now has gone from P2 to P2. So 1 step forward, 1 step back for Max Verstappen at the moment, but he will be putting the pressure on his teammates, and perhaps team orders will come into play for Red Bull. But meanwhile, behind us while all that was happening, this is our teammate and he is currently fighting away with the Haas of Mick Schumacher, but they're both stuck behind Lance Stroll with that broken front wing, and they're both being held up by the Canadian, who eventually pulls off into the pit lane. But yeah, this is currently the battle for last position, or now, well, third last, with Stroll pitting. But yeah, not a great start for Matsushita in this race, unfortunately, and he is unable to get past Mick Schumacher at this time. But we continue on, and that is Valtteri Bottas blazing past us, and we cannot compete with that straight line speed that he has with the DRS advantage there, and we just have to slot in behind. We try and stick with him in the braking zone there through Les Combes, and you can see the downforce difference as we turned in, and the car kept going straight. Now Lewis Hamilton is having a go at us down the inside into Pouon. We leave him a bit of room, but he is going to take full advantage of that. He's got to get past us on the way into Fagnes. We try and keep the nose in on the inside, right up on top of the curve, trying to give him some room. The car wanders out a bit wide though, so he was feeling very unstable there, and we may have actually made a bit of light contact there with Hamilton. We've gotten away with it, but I don't think Hamilton was quite as fortunate, because you can see he really dropped off there through Stavolo. He did not have the front end on the car turning the way he would have liked, and he's really lacking the straight line speed as a result. So Hamilton is actually going to make an early pit stop, and he will change his front wing. Not a ton of damage to it visually, but obviously there's something amiss with that car, because he was really struggling through that section of the track. But we continue on, and that is Lando Norris getting past us. We just let him go because we don't need to fight with the McLarens. Realistically, we don't have a chance of beating Lando Norris, and it's not worth us wasting our own time fighting with him. But as we fight for potentially some points here, I think that's the most we can realistically ask for, just some low points, because that's where our car is on a good day. Remember, we're still in the fourth worst car. We try and come back at Pierre Gasly, but we just don't have the cornering speed to compete with the AlphaTauri, because they are just a better car. It's that simple. We just can't fight quite yet with these upper midfield cars. The Aston Martins and Alpines may be a more realistic target for us if we can beat all of them, and hope for a bit of luck as well. We've already had Hamilton make an early stop, so who knows, maybe that will play into our hands later on. But speaking of Hamilton, he is starting to make his way back through the field. He is caught up to Nobuharu Matsushita, as my teammate is still stuck behind one of the Haas's. Hamilton round the outside of Matsushita into the final corner, but he's not actually going to get the move done. They're going to continue to run side by side along the main straight. Matsushita making this overtaking move very difficult for Lewis Hamilton, and they're going to continue this fight down into the first corner. Surely Hamilton will be able to get through round the outside, but Matsushita is putting up a great fight here, so no lack of racecraft on his part, and they're going to go side by side as they head towards Eau Rouge and Radion, wheel to wheel in the trickiest part of the circuit, and Hamilton pulls through around the outside, and Matsushita just has to slot in behind. That was a great move there by Hamilton to get around the outside, and we are soon overtaken by the Ferrari there of Charles Leclerc, and we try and get back up the inside though into the bus stop, and we will manage to get that move done. Late on the brakes, missed the apex there, the first apex of the bus stop, but Leclerc saw us coming, gave us the room, and we were able to get that move done. Leclerc though straight away coming back at us along the Kemmel Straight, and this time I think he will get through, because I think we're a bit too far back to go for a dive, and we go late on the brakes, but yeah, you can see we just were not anywhere near close enough to go for a move, and we are now down behind Leclerc for likely the rest of the race. Continuing on though, and more fighting here as we look back at our teammate getting past the Haas car there, and he will get that move done and get through ahead of, I believe that is Nikita Mazepin there. So Matsushita is fighting his way through the field slowly, and yeah, ever so slightly getting himself up the order, but it's been a pretty tough day for him. We continue on, and there are cars making pit stops, and that's going to elevate us back up the field. One of those cars is Valtteri Bottas, who now re-overtakes us along the Kemmel Straight, and he will blaze off into the distance. Once again, they must be on two-stop strategies. Everyone pitting now because they've gone on to another set of the soft compound tyres.
Okay, the gap behind is 7.0 seconds.
And now we have some space to work with. But continuing on then, and we are once again overtaken by Lando Norris around the outside of Blanchimont, and we just gave that one up because that was going to get very awkward if we continued to fight through there. And Lando Norris is through, and we are down into 5th position. Once again, Charles Leclerc will be right behind us in not too long.
To pit this lap, so push now.
But, thankfully, we need to pit this lap anyway, so it's not going to be a big deal. Leclerc probably won't catch us. He's not that much faster, so yeah, we'll just head into the pit lane at the end of this lap, and that will be our one and only stop in this race. I think the one stop will certainly help us with our lack of pace versus the cars we are racing against. Doing one less pit stop will help us gain some of that track position back. So here we go then into the pit lane, medium tyres on, and away we go. Great stop by the team, 2.2 seconds, and we are off and racing once again, and no more scheduled pit stops, of course, as we get a little sideways on the pit exit. We did get undercut by Carlos Sainz, but he is on soft tyres, so he needs to make another stop, so it will be interesting to see how that plays out. Meanwhile, we move on, and Lewis Hamilton makes his final stop, and we jump him. He'll probably catch up to us, though he is in a Mercedes, so even with an early setback, I'd imagine he would make his way back through the field. We continue on. We've got yellow flags here in the middle sector, and that is for Fernando Alonso, who pulls off the road ahead of us, and he is out of the race with a mechanical failure. Unfortunate for the two-time champion. We continue on then again, and we gain more track position with more cars in the pit lane. Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo making their stops, as well as actually Ricciardo coming out in front of us, and that will be him probably ahead of us for the rest of the race. So unfortunate that we can't keep that position, so he's managed to do the overcut on us. But nonetheless, we will continue to gain more places with more pit stops, and we're up into 7th now, so still in a very lofty position, and still on target to score a bunch of points. Here comes Lewis Hamilton, though. He goes to the outside. Can we maybe make some attempt at defending? We go to the inside, late on the brakes, and we really aggressively defend that position, but we just about keep it within some definition of respectful racing. But surely Hamilton will get past here on the very next lap along the Kemmel Straight, and yeah, there's no way we can make a dive from back here. Hamilton just with so much straight line speed, with the power of the DRS, just ridiculous along the Kemmel Straight.
There's been an incident on track.
And yeah, there's been an incident. That incident is Antonio Giovinazzi, who is out of the race with a mechanical failure. For the Italian, that is the end of the day, and he pulls off to the side of the road. But no effect on our race. We're still sitting in 8th position. He was, of course, behind us, but we continue to fight with the Ferraris as Carlos Sainz goes to the outside. We're side by side, and we just about maintain the position as we had to really fight for that one through Les Combes, and we're drifting our way through Malmedy, but we managed to hold on to it. But Sainz now coming back at us once again. We slot him behind. We're going to go for the dive down the inside once again. He's got to see us coming. Thankfully, we did take a lot of curb there just to make sure he didn't turn in on us, and we managed to hold on to the position once again. But Carlos Sainz really trying in these late laps to make this overtake work. We defend once again. Sainz to the outside as we head towards Les Combes. He's well clear this time, but we're going to go late on the brakes once again. He sees us there, gives us the room. We're going to be round the outside, and we're just going to keep enough of the nose in to get up the inside of Malmedy really aggressively, force him wide there of the ideal line, and we hold off Carlos Sainz one more time. But surely this can't last. Now Sainz a long way behind, but look at the power of the DRS and slipstream there as he has looked to the inside. We give him the room, but he's not able to get through, and we hold him off through Les Combes once again, and the battle once again falls in our favour on this particular lap. But surely Carlos Sainz will get through at some point. He has been absolutely hounding the rear of my car for a long time now, but we are actually starting to stretch away through the middle and final sectors. Sainz maybe used up his tyres a little too much in our fighting, not sure, but whatever the case is, he's not getting quite as close along the Kemmel Straight as he once was. As we continue on, the lap car there getting out of the way. We tried to get a bit of slipstream and then had to very abruptly move out of the way, so we didn't run into the back of him. But as we continue on looking at the battle at the back of the field, this is Matsushita fighting away and doing his best to hold off George Russell, and he manages to do it this time. So Russell with the pace at the moment, but Matsushita with a stout defense there, and he was able to hold him off and continue staying ahead of the Brit. So good job there from Matsushita. So we're both in defensive mode at the moment in the same part of the circuit. Clearly we need a little bit more top end speed to hold off these cars, because even the Williams has a good chance of overtaking Matsushita. We go on board again with George Russell, and this time he's got a great amount of overspeed as he goes to the outside of Lecom. Once again Matsushita on the inside, but I think Russell this time is through and he takes the position, but Matsushita fights back on the inside and he will just about hold off Russell once again as we continue to fight with Carlos Sainz. As the Spaniard goes to the outside, gets through, we duck into the slipstream, and now we're going to send it down the inside once again and retake that position. Sainz must be getting sick of us charging down the inside every single lap at that corner, but we are continuing to fight and continuing to hold him off as we lose at the back end there. Max Verstappen though comes around the final corner to win the Belgian Grand Prix, and he has led a fairly dominant race here. Other than that one moment where Perez took the lead for a while, Matsushita will hold off George Russell to the finish, and we will do the same with Carlos Sainz as we head towards the bus stop for the final time. We will get through and we will take home 8th position and another 4 points for the team.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
Pole position, points, I will certainly take that at this stage. That is huge.
Many doubted whether they could pull off the win here at Spa-Francorchamps, but they've done so in spectacular style. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here.
So Max Verstappen wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas finishes in 2nd position, with Sergio Perez completing a double podium for Red Bull.
Now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Daniel Ricciardo certainly impressed me today, an incredible performance.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. No change in the top spot, but with today's points, their hold on the lead is getting weaker. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
Well, there we have it. That is a big result for us, and more points is certainly welcome. Matsushita finally gets a 16th place finish. His previous best was 17th, I believe, so improving all the time, of course, and he was able to get a PB, but he had to fight for it there with Russell at the end. But I mean, that just shows you the difference that qualifying makes, and of course he had the grid penalty, so he was kind of doomed from the start in this race to start from the back. But yeah, with us starting from pole and Matsushita starting at the back, you know, in the past we've been actually quite similar on race pace. There's that defense of Lewis Hamilton there, but yes, it really shows the difference that qualifying and a bit of aggression on the track can make. To be fair to Matsushita, he was very, very solid in defending from Russell at the end there. Lap after lap, Russell trying to pass him around the outside into Lecom, and Matsushita did not give in and was able to hold him off. So that was very well driven, and that is worth noting. We just need him to be a little bit further up the grid in qualifying so he can do that and you know, be hopefully fighting for 12th, 13th in a few races time when the car is good enough to be there, and then eventually on to scoring points hopefully later on in the season when we continue to improve our car over the course of the remaining races. But his racecraft in this one was very, very good, so there is still plenty of positives to take away for our teammates. And of course for us, we had to fight very aggressively, particularly with Carlos Sainz, but we managed to hold him off just about and bring home P8. So I am certainly not complaining about any part of this race. The pole position at the beginning was just insane. Of course that was down to the track evolution at the end of qualifying more than anything else, but we still had to put that lap together, and we're able to do that at the right time, and we're able to read the conditions and take that risk, and we just about nailed it. So yeah, very, very happy with this weekend overall. So that brings the Belgian Grand Prix weekend to a close. We do beat Pierre Gasly in our rivalry for this round, or match him at least. He got the faster lap, I believe, but we got the finishing position, so yeah, all even, I guess. And we of course out-qualified him. But I think that rivalry really, it's going to be difficult for us to win unless we get a crazy result at some point, and really get our act together. But anyway, now as we head into the HQ, we've got a department event which we will get into shortly. First up, we'll have a quick look at the activity timeline, and we're just going to go over the G-Force training for our teammates, and that'll take up the 2 days. So the department event is with the marketing department. Apparently Matsushita said something in an interview that comes off poorly out of context and has caused a bit of a Twitter storm. So we can either make a public apology for it, and that will lose us 500 acclaim, or we can just ignore it, and that will upset the sponsors and we'll lose 20,000 credits. To be honest, and I would just ignore it. Don't give it any exposure. Twitter can get stuffed.
Thanks. I know these kinds of decisions can be challenging, but I think you made the right call.
We've also built up enough acclaim to sign another sponsor, and after much deliberation, we're going to go over this one, UTERP, or however that's pronounced. They'll pay us 187.2k every single week, and a goal bonus of 192k if we can out-qualify our rival. And just because I didn't mention it before, Matsushita has moved himself off the bottom of the championship standings. He's overtaken Nikita Mazepin, courtesy of them both having won 16th place, but Matsushita has 4 17th place finishes compared to Mazepin's 1. If he wants to move up again, though, realistically he's going to need a pair of 14ths. So now as we head through time towards the next event, we get that engine cover, I believe that's a weight redistribution upgrade, as well as the facility upgrade, the fabrication of the aero department, and that will, I believe, allow us to do simultaneous developments. I think that's what fabrication is for. Whatever it is, it improves our aero department anyway, which is always a good thing. We are also going to buy another facility upgrade, seeing as we have the money for it, and that will be to the personnel department, and that will help out Nobuharu Matsushita's pace by working on the simulator there. So hopefully Matsushita will be able to qualify and finish higher up the grid. But other than that, then there's not a lot left to cover. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.